Oh, god damn it, guys. I am trying to focus here. Okay? I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to watch my football. And instead of, I don't know, seeing Andy Reid, who, interestingly enough, looks a lot like a walrus, but by the time he gets to that frozen game in Kansas City and his mustache is frozen, it's probably the most like a walrus he's ever. He actually looks like a genuine walrus. Like he just needed like longer to. No, do I get to see him sitting on the sidelines, holding a play card up over his mouth so I can't read his lips? I mean, that's me. That's watching football. No, no. Arguably, you have to cut into certainly the biggest I mean in this particular moment, the biggest pop star available right now. I mean, I guess we could, I don't know, suppose you could argue, but certainly selling argues, and cut in with a extremely talented and objectively attractive young woman. I mean, how am I supposed to watch football? How am I supposed to enjoy God, country, and football when this is what you're cutting? I just want to watch football, guys. I just want to watch football. Is that too much to ask?
Me
RaShaun is.
being me being me, I'm just not even gonna. I am terrified of Swifties, and I ain't getting in that boat with you.
Wait, everything you just described, are you telling me you're the Josh from the dimension that doesn't have cheerleaders at professional football games?
I'm the Josh who's being extremely goddamn sarcastic right now, but
Uh,
nevertheless,
I mean, if
I
that's
mean,
your argument, if that's your reasoning to be upset with anything you just said, it already happens, and it
it,
happens a lot more for, like I said, cheerleaders. So, I
there
mean,
is
unless
that.
you're here to tell me that they're not attractive to you, which hey, each their own. But I would
Uh,
argue ones who find the cheerleaders attractive may find some similar attractiveness or feelings similar towards your beloved Taylor. Oh,
Yeah, but I
market.
mean, this is, look, things I did not have on my bingo card for 2024. Just to
I feel like
just
we
to
gotta get
lay
rid
it
of that
all out,
phrase.
because I guess I'm behind. Maybe I'm salty because I'm behind on my 2024 bingo card. I
The
didn't
amount of things
have.
you text us is absolutely the opposite of what you just said.
I'm still saying I did not have Taylor Swift being a CIA psyop, whatever that is, on my bingo card.
Whatever the
Also,
person talking to you means.
I mean, what just took the place of that and things I didn't expect in 2024 is Ben Shapiro having the number one rap song in the nation. Okay. I mean, and if any of you have that on your bingo card, fuck you. You're lying. That's all I have to say on that one.
I swear to
So
God, you're the Josh from a different dimension. How are any of these things throwing you off? Did you not live through 2020, 2021, 2022?
it's
In
it
2023
got
was no
weird.
goddamn Disney ride. I mean, like, where are you?
it's still, I guess it's just, look, as I'm approaching 50, I guess it's still nice to be surprised now and again. Maybe I forgot things. I don't know.
The
Uh
guy who sounded like
Well,
he was shunned by every single person he looked up to, making him have such a weird, bitter hate that definitely sounded like, I don't know, a group of people who will have sex with one group of people, but always be the throwaway rag, and then develop a weird sense of racism towards that group of people because of all the bad situations they put them in, and then walk around and develop some weird hyperbolic opinions about things, like saying things like rap isn't music, and my father is a composer, I know all this. Somehow turn around and do the exact same thing he says he hated is throwing you off, man. I, I don't know, man.
I'm getting slow in my old age, I guess.
Sorry.
That's really all that's happening here. I mean, I should have seen this coming. I should have seen that
that
right
was
hook coming and
that was
that.
crazy specific. I feel like you need to address that.
He did. Ben
I
That
mean,
Shapiro
was
rapping.
that was
yes,
crazy fucking specific.
Ben Shapiro. Yeah, exactly. No, but Rashawn was
I
being
don't.
specific about what I was
Like
saying,
he
so that's
definitely
okay.
looked up to a lot of black people growing up, and he never got that love, and it just made him bitter and bitter and bitter. Maybe a few crushes.
Facts, or should I say facts in the way he says it?
And I can't. I can't say for sure. Like I had, having given up completely on the Republican Party, I'm really not surprised by anything, including they would go after Taylor Swift, but at the same time, as Taylor, I think, called it the dads, brads, and chads. I mean, most of them aren't going to be happy about her being so, in their circle. Like they really don't like that. So,
Gregory. Gregory.
At the same time, I don't know. This might make me actually love her.
Gregory,
if she
did you just drop some
this,
lyrics? Did you just drop some Taylor lyrics? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had to interject.
All Ben Shapiro.
What do you mean?
With the dads, brads, and chads. Was that part of her lyrics?
No, I think she said that in response.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Because people have been complaining.
Right.
And she's like, whatever, I'm mad. This isn't the first time a celebrity has gone to a fucking football game and they put the camera on her. Yes. But it seems to be excessive. And it's like, well, yeah, because it's excessive, which means you made it loud, which means you made it a thing, which means guess what? Everybody knows now and everyone's going to tune in for Taylor Swift.
You bet you.
Yeah, it's just the Republicans shooting themselves in the ass again.
Can I just say this much though? If it's becoming too much of a problem for the NFL, Taylor, you can come join us on the podcast anytime you like. It's an open invitation.
I don't want that.
Shoot your shot, Birdman.
I literally don't want that.
All right, I
do not want that.
Tell you what, man. Should that happen, you can go ahead and have a sick day. We're taking that.
I do not want. No, man. We don't want that level of fame. You don't want that level of fame.
Yeah, we do.
No, you don't.
We do.
You think you do, but you don't. You
gotta hustle hard to get that. You gotta hustle hard to get that dick pill money and that Taylor Swift.
Took the words right out of my mouth, man.
That's it.
Right out of my mouth. Speaking of freaking dick pills and things you don't control, last I checked about the whole Taylor Swift thing, and I really would love to put a pen on it, but I know it's not going to happen. But to add my 2 cents, like Birdman asked us to do, is that last I checked, does she have control over the cameras or the AV room producing the telecast that we watch? I don't think she does. I would argue that she does not have control over the cameras nor the producers telling the cameras to give us a shot of her. She is simply existing, and that is throwing people off and acting like, as we've all pointed out in one way, shape, or other, like she's the only celebrity that's ever showed up to a professional sporting event or one who's done it repeatedly. It's kind of hilarious. And then lastly, here's the problem. And a lot of people need to come to church on this. And wow, I really did not mean to do that based off of what I'm going to go towards in this episode. But anyway, I come to church in this situation, right? Like they need to sit themselves down and go ahead and get this sermon. Understand this. If you watch football, as I pointed out with the cheerleaders, definitely with, oddly enough, some creepy shit in college football. And I do watch a lot of sports and a lot of football, so I can tell you from personal experience, they will find women that they deem attractive and they will fucking focus on that poor individual for throughout the game, no matter what the situation is. It literally will have nothing. They will miss fucking plays. These creepy fucking bastards will miss plays to look at some random person's girlfriend or anything like that. They will just hammer in. I literally watched the bowl game instead of actually focusing on the quarterbacks that they were playing, which is already hyper to begin with. They literally would stop looking at the game that was going on and be like, I wonder how she feels about this. I wonder what's going on. Oh, her boyfriend just got hit. Let's take a look at her. Oh, she's on you. Like, literally, the poor girl could not, God forbid if she like had a fart or something. Like, it was just like, it was all documented. And they do that all the fucking time. So I think a lot of people, A, need to recognize that. B, also remember there's cheerleaders that have been part of the game throughout our lifetime. So enough with the like, I'm distracted by the pretty girl thing. And then C, she's not controlling the goddamn cameras. Get off her back.
She literally mouthed, please go away, when the camera was on her this weekend. She actually said, please take the camera off. Please go away.
Like, I've heard people say she should not go. It's like, why? Why does she not get to go?
Why? Right, exactly. Like anybody else who's dating a member of the team, they get to go. I also do remember. I'll leave it on that. I do remember Jennifer Lopez at a Red Sox game back during the first go round with Ben Affleck, and I remember seeing her. Now they didn't focus the camera on her right away.
Original recipe.
They were exactly original recipe. Does that make this go round extra crispy? I don't know. Nevertheless, few
Secret
years
recipe.
on. Secret. Okay, there we go. Improved. But yes, I spotted her on television just because she was sitting next to the dugout and the Sox were walking back. And then, of course, then somebody in the camera said, "Wait a minute," and zoomed in. And of course, it's her and Ben Affleck. And well, we all know where the talent is, and we all know what the cameras wanted to look at in that particular relationship. Still, but nevertheless, there you go. Like they bought tickets to they got hooked up with the tickets to the Red Sox game right on the front, right by the first baseline. Okay. All right. Again, somehow I still remember that playoff series because it was 2003. God damn it. And that's when Aaron fucking Boone broke my dreams again. Nevertheless. All right. It's Josh. It's the Birdman. You've heard from my compatriots, but let's give a quick introduction and a quick ritual shout outs that we need to give to each other. That is very important. You have on my proverbial left, you have RaShaun Smith, the three of clubs himself. How you doing today, RaShaun?
What do you do? How do you do? Happy to be with all of you. I'm well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be here talking to you.
Sign me, Ben. Sign me.
That's it, man. I'm telling you.
Let's do this, baby. Freedom Riders Part 2.
That's it. Number one on iTunes, baby, with a bullet. Woohoo! And also on my proverbial right here, I've got the one, the only, the right off the mothership himself, the Star Child, Gregory DeSense. How we doing today?
I'm feeling all right. Happy Black History Month to all of our listeners.
That is it. And that is where we have convened. It is indeed, as we record this, it is the 1st of February. It is the year of our Lord, 2024.
My bad.
And it is the year, as I say, the year of our Lord, 2024. And of course, we want to honor those for Black History Month. And there's no better way to honor it than to hear my voice, a guy who wears, I do own a pair of fuzzy Crocs. I actually like them. They have been worn outside of my house in a pair of pajama pants as trash is being deposited into a proper receptacle. So, no better voice to be hearing.
I'm sexy and I know it.
That's it, man. Oh, I'm middle-aged and I know it.
All right, I'm just gonna hop in. Speaking of Black History Month and the Star Child, is a travesty, but at least congratulations to a very late star on Hollywood, to George Clinton.
Absolutely. All right. Okay.
It's ridiculous and criminal. Some of the people that got a star before this individual and the influence he has had throughout music, not just in the areas like people think, but literally every area of music has been influenced by this man and
1,000%.
his group.
1,000%.
Only funk can save us.
100.
I couldn't say it, but only the Star Child could.
Testify.
Only
testify.
funk can save us. That's it.
That's it. That's just the truth. We want the funk. Bring on the funk, man. All right. Yeah. Yes. So as I was saying, that I'm clearly the man to be introducing Black History Month.
You are Ernie Johnson, man. We love
That's it, man. I'm into it. But yeah, we did as we like to do here every February. Take some time out and just talk about what's important in pop culture and social commentary, and take a look as to what's happened before, what's happening now, what's going to be happening in the future. Oh, you see what I did there? See it? Three references in one. Oh my God.
Yeah, let's not have people hold us too accountable to that whole important part. Let's just hope that we're 2 for 3. Yeah,
we'll do our humble best. How's that? We'll do what we can.
1 for 3 in your baseball Hall of Fame. I'm just saying, like, let's just keep the bar where we should.
That's always what I've been saying, right? The best hitter in baseball missed the ball 60% of the time, right? That's what you're saying about the very best hitter.
Let math work for you, people, not against you, for you.
Exactly. So we are here. We are here kicking off that celebration, and I'm gonna kick it off to my man, the one, the
I forgot I was
only,
going first.
the real, my man. Because we are here to talk about being black on TV. That was my best James Earl Jones. So you got that. That's the best you're gonna get.
The train did not go off the tracks until just then.
Just then.
Seriously.
Yeah, stay away
My-
from impersonations, and this locomotive will get to where it needs to get to. I promise.
This.
All right, so of course, normally and easily and probably inevitably, I am the wet blanket of any situation or conversation, and definitely this is not going to be any exception. I think it's no surprise to anyone who's ever listened to us more than 2 episodes, not even in a row, just randomly, and definitely not to these two individuals. The one thing I absolutely despise. I mean, I despise a lot of things, so let me back that up. Yeah, this train's already off the tracks, but point being is like I despise a lot of things. But one thing is definitely stereotypes, mainly in the fact that what stereotypes do, how bad they are. There's no such thing as positive stereotype, even if you think there is one. For example, you can say things like, well, you're black, so you must be good at basketball. And then all of a sudden you're in a game when everyone's counting on you to be the MJ out there, and you are literally the worst player on the court. So, like, it's at first it was cool until you had to prove it, and then it sucks. Or vice versa. Not me, because I have zero buoyancy, and my swim is the most labored thing you've ever seen in your life. However, my brother is an absolute fish. So, same thing. Stereotypes. He's in the Marine Corps, basic training. He damn near got promoted, not because of any other, well, two reasons. One, he is an absolute evil fucker. Like, don't get in a fight with my brother, no matter how he comes off. He will look to put you in the ground first and then look to win the fight for second. So Marines love that. However, my man is also a fucking fish, so he went against their stereotypes of like, oh, the black guy can't fucking swim, and he's out swimming in his entire platoon. So stereotypes suck for a lot of reasons. I'm also realistic in understanding that they sometimes work. It's kind of like I have to be an adult. I wish we didn't have it. I wish we didn't have to use it. I wish humans had evolved past that, considering what stereotypes actually were in its inception. The fact that we've moved away from needing it, stereotypes really happened because there was once upon a time human beings were basically out in the open in the wild, did not fucking know what to eat, what to be around, or what was good, what would kill us, and as Star Child likes to sometimes point out, what we could fuck. And there's a lot of no's in that list, and a lot of deadly no's in that list. So that's actually how stereotypes were created. No different than the other part of our reptilian brain where it's fight or flight. So there's part of it that will probably never go away. I get it. I still think humans could be evolved past that. But again, I'm not going to be completely hypocritical and act like I didn't grow up watching shows that were basically rooted off of that. We talked about Def Comedy Jam, which is absolutely important to the United States black culture for a lot of different reasons. We've brought up a few different times. My man Star Child has had so many different great points on, so I suggest people go back and listen to those episodes. Real quick, you'll get everything you need to know about it. So, and then go watch it. But it's all based off of stereotypes. And there are points, even at the end of Def Comedy Jam's run, where I stopped laughing that much because, like, if all we're gonna do is come up here and say black people do this and white people do this, how funny are we actually being? Like, it was kind of funny at first because no one was really willing to say it. I think comedians knew back then you could get canceled, but that just actually meant no one went to your fucking show. Now everyone has a voice online, canceled to them all of a sudden is some new thing. No, you've always been able to get canceled. It's just, again, people just stop fucking supporting you. No different. They're just telling you directly. So like people didn't really care because they knew it was going to happen, but it was the soup du jour in that time. And that fucking ate up at first and then it got weird. So I say all that because as much as I would love to point out some easy references that, no offense, we're definitely going to point out or get to, but easy references and understandable references, from the understandable and easy to like the Jeffersons. A lot of people would argue that's one of the blackest shows you've ever come across. Partly because despite who the writers were, they definitely allowed the actors to really shine through and allow for their understanding of Black culture from their perspective to really come through in a very organic and collective way, even to the point of showing an interracial marriage that actually was a little bit more common than people thought or like to think. However, they did in such a way that was actually a little bit more accepted in the Black culture and household than I think a lot of people would have predicted before the Jeffersons came on. I can go to how there's maybe not shows, but maybe characters that have kind of stayed true to sort of an understandable experience during that time for anyone of the African diaspora. Like, so for example, I can point out that Tootie was actually a pretty good representation of a Black person in her situation in Facts of Life. Not necessarily a Black show, but maybe a Black character that did pretty good and kind of added that element. So Black shows in itself obviously are going to be built off stereotypes. More often than not, I kind of feel like the bar is set a little too high because, and no offense to anyone, but it's kind of hard for me to feel like a show is completely Black if the writers aren't, in fact, or at least in some way, a collection of some Black people, mainly so they can check some of the experiences and understand, as I've already said a few different times when we've talked about comedy lands a little bit different when it's coming from the tribe. A lot of us, when we're actually being honest about our sense of humor, will laugh when we're hearing it from someone who represents the thing they're talking bad about. I've grown up listening to Jewish comedians. They have said plenty of things about their faith, their upbringing, and things that, frankly, are stereotypical. It is hilarious when they say it. You're not going to fucking catch me talking about it. However, similar to my understanding of art and what I always say and what we literally just talked about with, like, you can kill the artist all you want, but art is art. If someone's actually producing a good quality content, then we have to accept it for what it is. And if it's coming from a good place and they're doing the best they can, even hard asses like me, when it comes to stereotypes, you have to be understanding what you want to accept. So there is a line, and I think sometimes even the best of efforts and hopes will cross it. And frankly, some of the people we're going to bring up do it across the board, but it's accepted because all the actors and characters for the most part are Black. So then it gets called a Black show. However, I would posit a different way of looking at it. What if we actually just looked at Black shows, not like the run on UPN, which is easy to talk about, and frankly, important to talk about because of what UPN at least tried to do before they totally went back on everything they programmed and said they were going to do, literally cutting shows off in the middle of seasons without any regard to the fan base that they created. Other networks have done similar things. Hell, HBO has fucking created two very Black-oriented, Black-driven sci-fi dramas that also have Black producers, Black writers, everything up to snuff. Did not actually lead with stereotypes. Create original stories, sometimes actually from IPs that were somewhat understood and known, but still did it in such a way that even the purists were like, I got no argument. Like, he didn't really change anything. He just kind of expanded on the story. Things that Star Wars fans wish fucking Star Wars would do. And what did they do? They literally canceled both of those things in one season, leaving cliffhangers left and right. So there have been Black shows in what I'm about to say, but I would say, easing up a little bit, I have two examples of two Black shows that people should go to. And again, part of this and how it makes it work is being part of the tribe, because it's not even necessarily that you're going off of stereotypes. I would argue in a lot of different quote unquote Black shows, the humor isn't actually going to be landed on the majority of the people that are watching. However, you know it's a Black show if the people who actually understand the references without going over the top about the writing or the stereotypes and make that reference land and communicate and illustrate. That actually makes it a Black show. If you lose a reference or understanding of that, if you are not Black, watch Kings of Comedy with someone who's Black. They're going to laugh at a lot more things than you. Not necessarily because you're necessarily smart or not. It's because of shared cultural experiences, again, coming from the same tribe. So my examples to you that actually fit this mold. I'm going to start with a very recent one. And again, it has a lot of N-words. So my non-Black friends, this is not an invitation to use the word. It's just a scope of binoculars into a situation that is not shared throughout. So don't walk up to someone from the East Coast and be like, I watch Black Jesus. But watch Black Jesus. That is a squarely a Black show. It's literally created, written, produced by a Black man.
Ain't nothing wrong with Black Jesus.
Most of the actors are Black. And a lot of references are squarely in a Black diaspora experience, to the point where a lot of times, if you're not Black, you're probably not going to necessarily get the humor, but you will get a lot of references over time and understand that it's really a very positive and uplifting show, despite the outlandishness. And then the last one, created by a Black woman, came up in the 30s from Chicago, and led into some of the most influential episodes ever from one of the most influential shows ever, 227. If you ain't talking about the Black church, you are missing a lot of Black culture, even from someone like me, who's frankly a freaking heathen.
All right. Love it.
Wow.
Was that Jack A?
Wow.
I would argue that was definitely his Jack A.
That was Jack. But just
although, to be fair, not Jack A was doing that because that was something that was very common in your experience if you grew up going to the Black church. What they did and how they were able to accomplish at least multiple seasons of focusing on something so specific without actually going, they obviously use stereotypes. I mean, it was created by a Black woman, but everyone else was definitely not. So, and they're definitely trying to get to a crowd that was, around Golden Girls and things like that. However, for their run and what they're able to do without really compromising a lot of the content to be buffoonish, great Black show.
Actually, if now that you elaborated on it, that actually was not Jackie Harry. Jackie Harry used to go, totally different from wow. That's just kind of what the Black people in the back rows do.
Yeah,
at church. I don't know, into like a heavy Pentecostal church, but that's like when you start hearing the wow, someone's trying to get it deep. Like somebody's trying to really turn this church session up.
I as always, I'm loving the education. I am just taking it all in as best I can.
Wow.
I did.
Jackie Harry was okay.
Yeah, I mean, she had a few, but honorable mention to the also one of the blackest shows in the '90s, Friends. Research it, people.
All right. Was that in the writing? Are we referring to the writing staff or production, or?
I'm referring to, if it wasn't for another show, Friends probably wouldn't have been created or even written.
This all right. Now I have to go and check my Google. I have to go check the Google machine. But I'm here. I'm committed. Thank you. Thank you. 3 of clubs. You 3 clubbed the hell out of that, man. You 3 clubbed that like a baby seal. That was fantastic.
That got dark.
That was absolutely, that was a shout out.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I'm not sure I'm going to co-sign on that. I don't need PETA coming at me.
PETA, yeah, it's poor RaShaun. I got him running scared tonight. I got the Swifties. I got PETA. I got everybody going after it.
Right. Be more scared of the Swifties.
I'm not. That's Swifties. I just pointed out their girl ain't controlling the camera.
There's that too. That's it. I just, we're going to all the third rails. All right.
I mean,
the guy,
exaggerated talent,
the guy with the fuzzy Crocs is stepping up to the mic. Just wanted to say hi everybody. Happy Black History Month. February 1st in and of itself. I want to just say I was listening to you really intently there, RaShaun. And you helped you made me remember some things even in that. And I think you make a stellar point about stereotypes and how they're used and how they're misused and what point they can be made. Because I will say, when you were talking about that, I remembered an episode of MASH. Now, here we go. And this is an episode of MASH, and it features none other than Harry Morgan, which in and of itself isn't so strange. But the interesting part is in the episode, Harry Morgan is there with the original commander of the base. I'm trying to think about Blake. Is it Blake? Henry Blake? I'm trying to remember who's
Henry Blake. Yeah,
Henry Blake, right? So he's there at this point in the show. He's not there as Colonel Sherman Potter. He's there as another general who's supposed to be completely off his rocker and doing all sorts of crazy things. And he wants to court-martial Hawkeye because for trying to for insubordination. So he commands convenes a court martial, and the first witness they call to the stand is a enlisted man in the MASH unit, and he's black, and he's not talk about a name that does not hold up. He's not, in fact, Spear Chucker Jones. Oh boy, that going back to the original one. Awkward. This is another character that they just going in on the
name they went with, by the way.
Pardon?
That was the clean name.
I'm sure it was, right? Yeah, I'm sure. It's like, all right, come on, we'll go politically correct. But
call them Jones.
They Jones, exactly. Come on. He calls another black man as a witness, and in the middle of his testimony, he says, "But first, how about a song? You boys got music in your soul," which is, of course, meant to show just how batshit crazy the character is. But boom, it's definitely holding up that stereotype without a doubt. And then he starts dancing out of the court martial, and the court martial, everyone there convened looks at themselves and says, okay, he's, this guy's batshit crazy. So, a lot of MASH facts stabbed in there. But you're right. When you're talking about those kinds of stereotypes, it is very hard to shake. It is clearly baked into the culture. It's there. It was there to get the laugh. It was there to show how crazy the white guy was. But it's like a little ick as we look back on it. As I mentioned, the main black character's name, for Christ's sake. That's like, okay, did not age well. The preface I maybe wanted to put up front of all of this was I grew up in one of the whitest suburbs outside of Boston, of Wellesley, Massachusetts, where, Hillary Rodham Clinton attended college, but a few doors down from me. And I think it was stated there was a movie. Oh, Christ, it was set in Boston. I'm trying to remember. Actually, I had Courtney Cox, and I'm trying to remember the other star. She states that she's from Wellesley, and it is rivaled only by Green Acres for diversity, which I thought was a great statement at the time. What I'm trying to get at here is I didn't grow up with many black people around. Like, I grew up in a really, really, really white place. I'm not saying I didn't see a black person, but I didn't have any concept whatsoever of the black experience in America. It's a little hard when you're young, of course. No excuses, but hey, you grow up where you grow up. You're born where you're born. You live where you live, and I didn't have any insight. So of course, that we've landed here on Black History Month, and we're talking about black folks on TV. I go, of course, to the king of it all, an old Jewish guy who was really the first person to try and actually put black people on TV, though, and make them central characters in a show that was successful. That were successful. Yes, certainly that were successful. And that's Norman Lear. Because for better or for worse, that was how I was introduced to any concept. Certainly we can look at it and we can absolutely pick out the flaws in it. But that was the first time I got any concept of what it was like to be black in America. The show that still does stand out in my mind was Good Times. It was a fascinating look for me. I didn't, like I said, that I think was where I first learned where Chicago was on the map. I was pretty young when I was watching reruns there. I learned where Chicago was. I learned about what Cabrini Green was, and where it was, and what it meant, and what that was representing to the family, and what the show was really trying to be about. We can look at it. We can see if it succeeded. We can see if it taught us anything, right? But it also gave a different image because, as I said, I didn't have any of these images that I could look at and grow to. And what do we see? We saw a hardworking, hard-knitted together black family that was staying together through it all and somehow trying to find their way through the American experience, which was not necessarily giving them any legs up whatsoever. Now, stereotypes for sure. JJ, over the top, right? Going on in Dynamite. Yeah, it doesn't age well. I will also tell you, at the time, I thought JJ was cool as shit. I love JJ. I thought he was the fucking man. Even, but it was the first kind of concept that I had any idea of, just even humor and dressing cool and trying to be cool and trying to just fit in with whatever surrounding you were at. Again, looking back on it, yeah, okay, there's some cringe. But still, it gave me some slight insight, some slight concept. But yes, from there, it goes on to the Jeffersons. And I absolutely did love the Jeffersons. And I'll tell you why in a few things. One, George absolutely cracked me up. He took no shit from anyone. He was funny as hell. He was out front. There is nothing funnier to me than the episode where George discovers the discotheque. Okay. And he earns the moniker of Motor Hips. Holy shit. I didn't even truly understand what was going on, but still, the fact that he was out all night dancing it up at the discotheque, presumably maybe doing a few bumps of coke. I don't know. It was the 80s. Hey, things happened. I don't know. Everybody was. It was the 80s. It was like this late 70s, early 80s. It was Studio 54. Stuff was happening. But again, there were a couple of things there. One, he was successful. He had, the whole premise of the show is he's moved from Queens. In the very first season, they actually show them moving out from Archie's place, Archie's neighborhood in Queens, to Manhattan. He's moved up, moved on up, worked his ass off, built this whole business empire, doing a great job. Now, here's the real shocker for you. That was the first time in that show, because you also mentioned what that show did, RaShaun, and how it was much more accepted at the time. And it was showing the first interracial couple. That was the first interracial couple I had ever seen. And I think it was, honest to God, as a little white boy from, as I say, the whitest suburbs in Chicago, in just outside of Boston, that I had the concept that people who had different tones of skin could marry each other. Like, it's crazy to look back and think on.
It's still freaking me out.
But you don't know. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know, right? And at that time, that was like just such a wild concept. And I just appreciated that there was a place, there was something at this time. And again, I was saying before the show to the guys that our concept where I was growing up at DEI was that we had a Chinese restaurant in town. Like these were far out concepts that, just to see people who did not look exactly like you, who did not sound exactly like you, was pretty rare. It was a pretty strange thing. In a controversial era, I'd grown up at least 10 years after the very terrible reaction to the Boston busing decisions. So again, that was one of the only small interactions I had was at school, was that we finally got to try and break down some barriers and try and give some other people a decent education, and not keep everybody segregated into a part of Boston where they couldn't get a decent education, and trying our best again to learn and to navigate. But these shows, that was really it. That was what taught me, at least, to just open my eyes and to give me the smallest and briefest inklings that maybe my experience and what I was growing up in wasn't the same as everyone else in America. So, all right, Norman Lear, you may have messed some things up. Certainly, as I look back on it, like I say, I don't know how much of it's aged well. Some of it's aged better than others. But all right, thanks for at least teaching me that people who look different can marry each other. I'm glad. I'm glad, if nothing else from there, at least somebody taught me that. That was probably about 5 or 6. You still don't.
I still don't believe it.
Oh, that's Let's just hope no one's listening to this in your house tonight. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Or ever. I mean,
or ever.
It's recording.
I think I agree. I loved shows like that because I kind of lost it when it came to like all of the shows with pristine black people with no problems. Like it just didn't reflect reality. Like the fact that this family was struggling and living in a housing project, but working. And I love that. Like it reminded, because, people have these labels about black families, but not only were they holding as tight as, any good day on Little House on the Prairie, but they were working on it. You know what I mean? JJ was a painter,
Yep.
the sister was always working. The dad was always working, but
Yep.
it was really just, the other side of the American dream in that period in the United States. And I thought it was important. And as for the acting, I mean, that's always going to be a question in black entertainment. You know what I mean? Like there's always this kind of feeling where, some black people are like, oh, like you're playing it up for in a kind of minstrelsy, and people are always kind of shy about that. But at the same time, I don't think black people have to apologize for being black.
No,
What entertains you and what you feel and what reflects you and your people, you don't need to apologize for that, nor do you have to worry about, a third of black people disapproving of the other 2/3.
well, no matter what.
So for me, so I'm just saying, for me, especially coming from an immigrant family, like it was important to see good times. Like that was my first time feeling seen, because we were poor. We all lived in the same room. Me and my brother shared a bed, like all of that stuff. Like it was all right there in front of you. So yeah, I love good times.
I don't know if this helps or hurts or comes off as ridiculous virtue signaling, but honest to God, I watching it too because it was all on reruns. But when I was watching it, but the first time I saw the episode where the dad died, I cried, man. I was just, I just did not know that happened. I did not know that was going to happen, and I was devastated. I love their dad. Like he was such a great dad, and I did not have a dad like that. So anyway, like I said, maybe it's just
deep.
ridiculous virtue signaling.
No, that's kind of deep. I'm not sure we can. I think no matter what, that's the problem with stereotypes, is it robs people of their individuality. It automatically lumps them in. So I think all three of us would argue you should always be your true self, or as best as you can manage. I don't think that. I also would point out that if you think it's reflective on one side, then it has to be reflective on the other. If it's reflective of families in that situation, then the individuals in the family could be reflective of perhaps behaviors that were going on during that time, during that decade, during that period, regardless. And also definitely pushing back on the stereotype that all black families were in good time situation. Not all black families were. Matter of fact, that's part of the reason why Jefferson's worked, is because it was also reflective of black families that actually were able to get past the situation that Josh likes to point out, which happened across the country, which is things like busing. Well, people need to understand busing happened not because every single black family was basically like good times and they just could not afford to get out of the city. Some, sure, not all. It happened because of fucking things like redlining. So, like, the story actually goes in other layers where we get to the point where it's not so much, oh, those black people just can't get past those, good time type of situations, all of them. No, it's because in a lot of situations, especially in the 50s and the 60s, there were plenty of people who had a lot of money. Matter of fact, part of the whole story of Good Times was the fact that he was working a factory job that other men who were not black were able to basically live in other better areas, basically paying almost the same thing. Like, that's the whole idea of it. And frankly, I also feel a little bad and stupid. And like I said, my ancestors are already upset with me for a myriad of things, but I feel bad. And it took Josh saying it. So thank you, Josh, for talking about Norm Lear, because Jefferson's actually did come from a black person. And a lot of Norm Lear's content and a lot of what he was able to pull off came from black people, specifically Eric Monte and Mike Evans. Matter of fact, he had Norm Lear had to pay $1 million settlement, which is way under, obviously, to Eric Monte for the Jeffersons, because it was actually proven, at least, to be settled out of court, that it was his idea and that he basically got railroaded. So I feel bad that I left him out, but I also felt it important to bring it up.
Oh, you threw it right there. There it is.
Fantastic. No, I think it's an important fact to remember too, as well, that there was, that the shows, that it's important to remember who is creating what and who is adding to it and giving at least a chance for the idea to grow. So good.
I mean, oddly enough, Fresh Prince was a fairly reflective show for Black people who had a lot of money. For my family, no, not even fucking close. But there are definitely Black people who had a lot of money. One of my best friends moved out to Illinois and literally lived in a house that looked bigger than the set on Fresh Prince. It's just how it goes. It's not a lot of them, but
Well, with that, let's turn to the progenitor here of today's subject matter. We put him in the cleanup spot because
I gotta make this good. Shit.
We gotta. Well, we know our fan base loves Greg so much. I gotta put him last because I gotta make sure they'll listen to the whole episode. That's why. If I put Greg first, they're gonna listen to that episode. All the magic's gonna happen, and then they're just gonna tune out.
Oh man, they can scroll right to the
end. Don't let the secret out.
It makes it hard.
All right, seriously.
Don't let the secret out. Next thing you'll
3 clubs, 10 seconds further.
Oh my God! Next thing you know, people will realize they can just, I don't know, get a beer when Taylor Smith's on the television. I don't know. They can have some pretzels. Oh God! The idea of
they're gonna die. They're gonna die.
This is not what
they're gonna die.
We're all gonna die.
This is how you break the plan of the lizard Illuminati.
They're all gonna
forward. You pause. I don't know.
This is how we die. Someone put the camera too much on Taylor Swift.
Oh my God! All right, but Greg, you were, as I say, the leader. You were the leader on this project. So let's hear about your impressions of Black television through the years.
I didn't want to do it decade by decade, because it's not necessarily a decade by decade idea. But I mean, I feel like there have been periods, there have been ebbs and flows. You know what I mean? Like you're going to go from, the biggest thing in Black television was Roots. Awesome. But then you considered, one of the biggest Black characters on television was Sporty James, the pimp snitch on Hunter. So you didn't really want to, it bobbed and weaved, it ebbed, it flowed, and you have some things that were constants. So, I mean, from each one, like there was always kind of a side ground. I won't say an underground, but there was a side ground. You know what I mean? Like, it's really great that everybody was all on board. But, did you watch the Boondocks? You probably didn't. You should have. Because the Boondocks was amazing, but you probably missed Boondocks. Just not so much the things that everyone always discusses, but just to round it out. You know what I mean? Just give it a little more shape. You know what I mean? We talked a lot about good times, but no one mentioned That's My Mama. That's right. You gotta remember, that's my mama. People forget about that. Or you know what? I don't mind struggle TV with Black people because you know what? I like keeping the perception that there's just something more genuine about Black people and that they're in a position to be the conscience of America. And that's why the sage wisdom of Fred Sanford was always important on a day-to-day basis. Like you had to have, everybody watched Sanford and Son. I get it. I hope him and Elizabeth have finally found each other wherever, owners of junkyards go when they die. But it was an important period, and I wanted to round it out, like Fox, we all know Martin in living color. None of these things are any question. But did you watch Rock?
Yes.
Rock? Yes.
Right. Rock was a little bit more of a dramedy, but you felt Rock. You know what I mean? Even when Heavy D went on there and started making it weird. You know what I mean? What's that?
Introduced Jamie Foxx.
Introduced Jamie Foxx, Charles S. Dutton, who I believe is an ex-convict and was finding new life in this great show.
He got off the prison planet?
I believe so. It was important. And then, a couple of times I talked about the shows that were on NBC. You mentioned 227, but what about Amen? If you're going to talk about the black church,
yeah,
amen. Sherman Helmsley as Deacon Fry. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he was amazing, but you could tell, Sherman Helmsley as an actor, like he was a little bit older now. You know what I mean? Like this guy wasn't just about railroading everybody. Like he was definitely about moments of sage wisdom. Again, like we're like by this point in his television career, he was a legacy actor. No question about it. And 227, there's an episode where Rosa Parks is there. Like the actual Rosa Parks was on 227. Okay. Can't get any blacker than that. Like we're done. We're done. Rosa Parks was on your show. We're going to leave. We're going to leave. The WB was weird. I don't know how well or how many people remember that the WB, but the WB got really, really strange. So I wasn't gonna, and while I was talking about NBC, I think I mentioned I'll Fly Away. I don't know if you guys have reported to your local libraries to find out if they have it, but I'll Fly Away. We'll always recommend that. And there was a show with Patti LaBelle called Out All Night. Morris Chestnut, Vivica Fox.
Oh yeah.
Remember that shit? That show was amazing.
Yeah.
Patti LaBelle played a nightclub owner. I was like, how is this not the best show on television? How is it not the best show on television? But that was NBC. I'll Fly Away. Find it. Out All Night. Definitely find it. WB, yeah, that was the Wayans brothers and Sister. Okay.
Kept going.
Right, Sister. I don't remember. I remember Steve Harvey had a show with Jamie Foxx
and Mark Curry.
Yeah,
Mark Curry had a show too.
Yeah, that was on there. There was a bunch of shows. I don't remember it as well as I remember UPN, because UPN had In the House with LL Cool J and Moesha with Brandy.
Oh yeah,
right.
I remember that now.
Right, because they were hitting it. They were hitting it. Eve had a show. Bernie Mac had a show. Everybody Hates Chris was on there.
Bernie Mac show was on Fox.
What's that?
Bernie Mac show was on Fox.
That was on Fox. Was it on Fox and then went to UPN? Because a bunch of shows did that.
Probably, but
some did, yeah.
Like Probably. Yeah. Channel 38.
Yeah. So, and then they became the CW, and then it just got even weirder. But the fact is, I mean, what do you want to say? As we go into the modern times, man, black people didn't watch Blackish. It's true. It's true. Black people didn't watch Blackish. I mean, anecdotal evidence.
Why are you telling secrets? Shut up.
I don't know any black people that watch Blackish.
We're just spilling the tea here tonight, man. Everybody
but my wife loved it. She thought it was absolutely fucking brilliant.
Come on, Greg. Don't tell all the secrets.
No, you know what? I'm gonna let them go. They had a Prince special. Like, what's wrong with Blackish? Y'all need to leave Blackish alone. But in today's media,
which apparently they did. I'm just saying, according to your last report, that's what happened.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, those shows where it's the I ain't even gonna call it a Cosby Show, like, because for a certain class of black people that was a reality. So I didn't want to say like I couldn't relate to the Cosby Show on any level, but you kind of know what's gonna happen every episode. He's gonna drop some knowledge. The kids are gonna go, oh, and it's gonna be a beautiful thing. So I was just bored with it. But
situational
moving, I feel like now. You're seeing these dramas come out, like some of them, yeah, you do. I feel like because of shows like The Wire and Treme, there's shows that feel black, but not necessarily an all black cast, like Insecure. Like, not necessarily an all black show.
Black.
Really. What's that?
Oh, you're saying they're not black like Insecure.
Well, I'm just saying like the show is like, it's not necessarily, it's not really about the message. You know what I mean? Like it's more like this is a showcase, and these people are and you feel it. You know what I mean? Like these people are just talented actors and comedians, and this is a fantastic show. And I feel like when you move into that kind of territory, you've basically arrived. You know what I mean? Between that, Power, I had no problem with Power. I love Power. Was an awesome show. Atlanta, hilarious. If you haven't seen Atlanta, you need to go see Atlanta. You basically need to watch Atlanta.
Where are they going?
Which one?
No, I'm just kidding. I was
The Shy. Watch The Shy. You know, like it's I don't know. I mean, some people say it's like really strong soap opera vibes, but don't act like you care. You want to see that shit. Top Boy. I think that one's on Netflix. Check out Top Boy. Definitely another hit. And Snowfall. I've recommended Snowfall a couple of times on the show, and I think honestly, if you haven't seen Snowfall, see Snowfall. It's worth it just to see, 80s politicians be as shitty as we all remember them being. All right. But I feel like that progression right there, like it's not that, they've turned their back on the Black reality, for better or for worse, but it's more like they're just respecting the fact that these are their stories. And I feel like that was a big missing part of the conversation for a long time, because it's always about, kind of trying to find ways to pry people of color into their stories. Whereas in this case, they feel like Black stories. And it's not necessarily because all of the characters are Black. That's not necessarily it. There's just something genuine about how they're telling the story. And that's what matters. And that's what people recognize, So when I do talk to people about these other shows, which are fabulous and you need to go check them out, when you talk to people about them, the thing that resonates the most with them, it wasn't necessarily the performances and the acting, but it feels like it's true. It never feels like it's making fun of you. And the thing that you might say about a show like, Good Times and, other things where it seemed like, oh, well, they're just, making a caricature of Black people. And it was like, have you asked enough Black people?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we've gotten to that point, and it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, Atlanta, that episode with Bibby was just fucking, just stop it. All right. I just felt that episode on so many levels. And if you didn't watch the Boondocks, you should watch the Boondocks.
Watch the Boondocks. Everybody should watch
like
the
Tyler
Boondocks.
Perry. Try to find that contraband because they called that shit from the cheap seats.
Tyler Perry.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. All right, fair enough. That
no, I mean,
great.
I think
that was beautiful.
Like normal, Star Child comes with an encyclopedic approach to our topic and giving people a lot to chew on. I again gonna say I'm gonna punt on trying to create any definitive list because it's just not gonna happen. However, Greg brings up a good point to chew on, in that if you do not like the Cosby Show, do not want to watch it. One of the shows I easily could have brought up that is similar to it was created by basically the same people, and also was reflective of a lot of different parts of Black culture during that time, especially, and a lot of people attributed to the rise of student population at HBCUs is Different World. So definitely watch that.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On top of that, one thing also needs to be pointed out is, weirdly enough, in the 80s or before, I would say 2000s, one of the things that also was happening was it was kind of like either white or Black, meaning like characters.
Right.
And if you were enough to get some other ethnicity, it was, I mean, I'm talking about stereotypes. We had it way easier than other ethnicities when it came in the 80s and 90s. God save you if you're Asian. In the 80s. It was just almost impossible to be on TV without being a complete stereotype of the worst characterization you can.
Rashad, are you implying that Breakfast at Tiffany's does not hold up to the years? I mean, really? Are we saying that sacred piece of Americana might have just been leaning just to the level of cringe factor 18 on that one?
Bless your heart that you just went to that one and not literally the millions of other examples across the board.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, not just that, but I mean, we don't have to call that. That shit's just racist. It's not
right,
cringy.
exactly.
Yeah. Like that's not.
Yeah,
you're not trying.
That shit was racist.
Yeah, like,
and you know what's funny? like you know, because I'm a cinephile. I love Audrey Hepburn,
Facts.
and I love I even like George Papard in the movie.
I was about to say George
But
Papard. Yeah, come on,
yeah,
man.
George
That's
Papard's
the height
great
of
in
his.
the
That is
movie.
this pinnacle of his acting career right there.
Right, absolutely. I mean, true, the Truman Capote can, go fuck himself. But as far as like the rest of the movie, when it gets to that part, it is just so jarringly racist. You know what I mean? It's so cartoonishly racist.
It's like they said, cut. Could you crank up the racism?
Right, yeah,
right.
I'm not offended enough.
No. Repeat
I'm not
after me.
feeling it from that back seat. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks,
and try
Mickey.
to squint a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like it was just so
Mr. Rooney.
cartoonishly racist that it kind of left you like, I need to fucking just fast forward this. And honestly, I think I did. I think I think I would try to watch it again, and I have to fast forward through that. It's just unwatchable. It's just fucking unwatchable. As charming and lovable as Audrey Hepburn is, it is fucking, that part is just jarring.
Yeah, I mean, God bless you for trying. But the point I was leaning towards, in a lot of hot air, we are the steam gentlemen, is the fact that now I would argue what's happening that's good and bad for quote unquote the black show or black culture or black representation is there's more representation of other ethnicities that are a lot more truer to their culture, which is either given pathways for, as Greg was pointing out, truer black stories, whether it be more drama or comedy or what have you filled, but more a shared experience of those from the culture where it would be more accepted, or those avenues get closed a little bit because, hey, now we're going to focus on this ethnicity, this one, indigenous people to this country, will give them a show. Like there's a little bit of that too, because the selection power, similar to everything we talked about,
it's called reservation dogs, I think, is what they.
I'm pretty sure that they canceled like most of those WB shows, WB shows.
Also, shout out to Black Lightning
for Dawson's Creek. So you're
they
not
did,
wrong.
Yeah, they went.
Yeah, I think it was like they canceled it all for Dawson. I remember at the time.
We're not representing the child rape scene enough, so we're gonna get
let's go there. Let's go.
Not enough child rape out there. Like we need some more adult on kid action.
Action happening.
What you got? First two pieces of Dawson's Creek. Run with it. Let's go.
That's it. No, that's it, man. Let's good.
That's good. That's still hot. Yeah, we got.
And they had no idea that the poor
what's the name of the character? Pacey? I don't give a fuck.
Pacey. That's it, man.
Like the producer, like, I don't care. You got the hot for teacher thing going. Let's go.
Yeah, everybody loves it. Everyone's gonna love this. This is great.
A couple of years later, we'll make a football movie with the other star, and literally all we're gonna do is just play that song in a strip club. It's gonna be like the whole movie. We're good.
That's all. The whole thing. I don't want your life.
5-year plan. Gold.
Keep your daughter off.
Gold, Jerry. It's gold.
It's gold. We got it. Well, with that, we
get black shows. Seinfeld, low key, one of the blackest shows that's ever created.
Oh well, now we're leaving more fodder for the rest of the month here. But all right, we have. Well, I think we got another solid one, and it's gold, Jerry. It's gold. We're another solid one in the can there. Another one we've done for the culture. Fantastic. Doing it for the culture. I love it. Fantastic. Well, it has been our pleasure to come here again and talk pop culture, social commentary with you, especially during this fine month of February and Black History Month. Hey, I want to check in with my fellow steam gentlemen. What are they going to be doing in the time when I am, in the diaspora when I am separated from them? What's going on? So, Greg, what you got going on for the rest of the time till we meet again?
Now that I gotta represent the diaspora,
you always were.
Yeah, I mean, right. I can't think past right now, which is we're playing the Lakers.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, all right. But I wanted to make sure I did this with my fellas.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Make sure, but yeah. Well, we're playing the Lakers tonight.
Playing the Lakers,
as always.
If you guys lose to a LeBron AD less Lakers.
Ooh, that would be bad.
Bedlam.
We're not gonna. All right, that ain't gonna happen. All right, yeah.
Resurrect.
Speaking of which, let me talk to our resident Lakers fan. As I recall, are you the Lakers fan of the bunch, or I can't? You know, I know
feel
you.
like
I know.
you're saying this just so I can put it on wax, so you can have it and just use it. Yes, I'm a diehard Lakers fan.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. All right, I don't know how. I don't know how this.
Wait, me telling you 100 times.
It was like that. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to hear you say it again. All right. That's all. I'm still not quite sure how all this situation fell out here. There was occasionally always that kid in the neighborhood who insisted on flying his Yankees gear. But all right. Okay. You know, Lakers, they're a storied franchise. So
Right.
RaShaun, are you going to go watch the Lakers game, or what are you about to do?
You know, real quick aside, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but since you brought that bullshit up, I love how New England Patriot fans are acting like there's not some fucking kid somewhere in like Wyoming because of the last 20 years who's not a diehard Patriot fan. Like, people just follow winners. And I get why Celtics fans are salty as someone who grew up around here in the 80s and 90s, because for the most part, I supported a team that won. But you guys had some wins too. So, yeah, stop being bitter. Point being is, anyway, I'm not doing much other than
we got the best record in the league. I ain't bitter about shit. I'm all right.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Tell you what, tell me what that does at the end of the year. Point being is that I don't have much outside of the normal that I have going on, so sorry to let you down. But I did want to also point out, since we've been talking about black shows, a lot of people like to bring up one movie, and it's controversial now, but I would argue people of my age and older support this movie for this exact reason and what we're talking about, which is a lot of people like to say that whatchamacallit, oh damn it, I had it and then I lost it. Mel Brooks. Blazing
Saddles.
A lot of people like to point out like the really bad, and yes, some are some pretty cringe things. Some directed towards black people, but here's the reason why Mel Brooks is a genius and why he was able to get away with it is because, one, he did have actually black writers on it, and two, Cleavon Little was in on it. It wasn't against him. Matter of fact, that was most of the humor in Blazing Saddles, is taking the stereotype and then taking the actual protagonist and having to deal with both the situation of the story and the bullshit of the stereotype and moving past it. So if you just go off of context with a lot of these things, shows or movies, you're probably missing the point, like not understanding that busing wasn't a matter of poor millions of poor black people, but people who also got redlined.
Well, I agree with you. I will never forget watching that movie for one of the first times I saw it with my friend Rodney Snell at Emerson, and he was reciting some of the things line for line and dying laughing the entire time, particularly when Slim Pickens shows up and says, "When you were slaves, you sang like birds," right? Like, it just was like, okay, we're going hard in the paint right in the first 5 minutes of this film. There's not going to be a whole lot held out. And yeah, I think unfortunately it can be cringy, but there's a lot you can see even in our current moment in that film. I will say, for Gene Wilder, what he say, these are simple folk, salt of the earth, morons, right? It's just like yeah, okay, that summed that up a lot. So we definitely could see a lot even in this moment, even in that film. All right, well, I'm gonna be trying to just hold it all together. Got a hockey game to drive to this weekend, since we're still in hockey season, and I got some new skates to buy tomorrow, so that's important. And keeping all that going. I will ask you if you can do the small kindness of going over to iTunes, rate and review us, help spread the word, help push the Steam engine forward, help get us out there. We are on the socials. We are Dune Steam Bro on Instagram, and we are the Steam Gentleman podcast on Facebook. And yeah, that's the main things we're active on, all that, because we're Gen X, we're old, it's as I was saying, now that I've seen Kid and Play acting in a Progressive auto insurance ad, it's over for us. We are officially done. We are officially old now. We're taking our place. Boomers, get out of the way. Here comes Gen X. All right, first time we've ever been.
You're over 25. You are a boomer.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes.
It's cute that you thought that it came down to the Kid and Play showing up on an insurance commercial.
There was just something
Like,
about
we've
that.
had nothing else happened before that.
There probably were plenty of signs, but that was the one that brought it home to me.
That's a good question.
That was the one that brought it home to me. All right.
What is the moment where media really got it through to you?
All right, RaShaun, write that down. We got a story idea. Let's go. Come on, let's hit this. We got to get this going.
I watch sports. I watch guys who I saw get drafted have their kids get drafted.
Have their kids get drafted, right? That's what it is. All right. Well, in the meantime, this is Josh the Birdman saying, keep your heat up and keep your head of steam on.